All right. You're calling from a 310 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, man. What's on
Hey,
your
really,
mind?
really, really. Hey, good, man. This is Gary over in Philly, man.
Hey, Gary.
Yeah, first off, really appreciate everything you guys do. Shout out to Matt, Jamie, Sam, the whole crew.
Cool. Thank you.
And I wanted to call. I wanted to just sort of set up a frame real quick, just like using a personal anecdote. But broadly speaking, like you touched on it earlier when you talked about how Dems have this, like liberals can sort of be annoying with this call for civility, and there's this sort of reflexive mindset. And this is something sort of like I've thought about through the years, and I have like three people in my life that run the gamut from far right conservative to like third way centrist, and then a liberal Democrat who even voted for Bernie in the primary 2 years ago. And we were at dinner last night, and it just sort of struck me at the end of the night that in all three of these cases, those sort of archetypes, the people and the ideas that they represent politically, they're very unaware of sort of the political concept of something that you guys have covered a lot and Sam talks a lot about, which is asymmetric polarization.
Right.
And
right.
The thing that we sort of like, anytime, it doesn't matter if I'm talking to a far right person, a family member who I love, but who's just, he's a Fox viewer, he reads the Wall Street Journal.
Yep.
Or if I talk to my third way centrist friend, he's always sending me pieces by, David Brooks and Ross Douthat, and he sent me the Max Boot piece that just came out, the one that was saying the Dems are, they need to do this. And so last night, this is sort of the third prong of it. Like, this is the liberal Democrat. And even in this case where this guy, we agree on 99% of the things, but there is this, I have found that there is this reflexive need to sort of, there's this self-image that certain liberals have to say, well, I don't identify by party.
Right.
And but what I was trying to communicate to, because he was saying, he sort of made an offhand comment, like, well, unions are the problem. And then he was sharing some personal anecdotes about like individual stories of like inefficient, lazy city workers.
Right.
And I granted him that. I said, yeah, of course. Like, I was like, dude, yes, there are there moments where government workers and like bureaucracies run amok, and but that is not the primary driver in this problem. And the thing that I'm at a loss for where to go, because it seems like no matter what you say, whether it's they just don't understand the true nature of what we're facing in the form of this Republican Party.
I think you're totally right, and I would say in the case of your progressive friend, I think honestly, I'll do a shameless plug. You should be telling them to listen to this show as an example, because I do think with people like that who are already there politically, they just need social permission to not play into those cliches. I think
you need community.
Yeah, you need community. Precisely. And I think and it's funny too, like this is a difference between being in your mid 30s and mid 20s, right? Like, I mean, like there's plenty of people who are my age who've always had left politics, even publicly so, but have had like the progression of like, oh man, like, do I have to fucking pretend that, that's a problem or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, because there's all these, and that's why we need to be very worried in general, I think, about sort of substituting mores for politics. But I would recommend your friend listen to this show and all the other shows in this universe. I think that would be helpful. Your centrist friend, I don't know, man. I think it's one thing to talk about somebody who's kind of on the center left and bringing them through policy, but I got to say, like, a diet of Dothat, Brooks, and Boot, I mean, does not a sharp
George
mind
Will,
make.
Will.
But I guess, I guess in his case, what I would say is, if you want, maybe you could give him like books by like Jacob Hacker as an example, who actually, it's less polemical, but it's like the actual numbers on asymmetric polarization and the actual political science of why the cliches that are peddled by those people. And then, your
Right.
Republican friend, I don't know. I mean, talk about basketball or football or whatever. Thanks for the call, man. I mean, honestly, like, I'm not going to say to stop hanging out. I mean, I've in fact, one really good friend who's professionally radically different politics. I mean, we argue about shit, but you also just have to remember that there is a much bigger life than politics,
And also, like,
Yeah.
we have a lot of authors on here that are, I think, good bridges. Like, I mean, Jane Mayer's, I think, my favorite because just a couple of books she's written. But
Yeah.
also, like, not Beschloss. Who am I thinking of? I mean, who's the guy
Was
who
it
wrote?
Hacker?
No, it was a foreign policy guy. I'll figure it
Oh,
out.
Walt?
No, he wrote the book about how Jimmy Carter and sort of the move to the Middle East.
Oh, Basevich.
Basevich,
Andrew
yeah.
Basevich.
Like guys like that,
Yep.
I think, where they have a lot of this sort of prestige, the print prestige to them. I think that's important for people. Like they'd like to see a Pulitzer Prize.
Oh,
winner or
definitely.
something like
For that centrist type, they're very attached to that kind of thing.